Hey, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Tragedy into Triumph podcast. I am joined today by my wonderful wife, Tammy.
Thank you, Wendell. It's great to be with you again today. And hello, everyone. So glad you could join us.
We're in kind of a post-Valentine's Day edition because often people ask us how we met. What are the keys to a successful marriage? Which, I mean, you can look at us and see that we've got it all figured out. But through the years, we've provided counsel and help and support to many marriages and many people so that they can find the triumph that God intended in their relationships. So we thought we'd talk about marriage today. And we're going to start our conversation by telling you the story about how we met. So, Tammy, go for it.
So, how we met. I was at, I guess, the same event that Wendell was at one evening, and this guy comes down to me, which I was eyeing anyways because I just thought he was so cute. I remember exactly what he had on. He looked like a preppy boy with his peach shirt, untucked with his blue jeans. And to this day, he says he was wearing shoes without socks. I thought he was wearing flip-flops, so one of those. But anyways, he was there. He was came down and asked me some off-the-wall question and smiled and walked back to his seat. My friend that was sitting with me kept saying, "Oh, that guy back there is cute." And I said, "Yeah, I know he is." But she was talking about the guy beside Wendell, and I was talking about Wendell. However, at the time, I didn't know his name yet.
Well, I can just tell you right now, we were in college together, and I'd seen Tammy several times, and I was a guy fresh out of the Army, and maybe how a lot of guys might do. I showed up at college and developed a top three of the three best looking girls at the school. And Tammy was number one on my list.
I still say he got me confused with someone to this day. I still say that.
I remember thinking, man, I'm going to have to work pretty hard for this. And so shortly after that first encounter, I showed up at campus on I think it was a Friday night or something like that. And I think I'd just gotten paid from my job, so I had a little extra money, and I was trying to find Tammy. I actually went to campus looking for her, and because I lived off campus, and there were some people hanging out in the foyer of the girls' dorm, and then I saw Tammy, and I offered to buy everybody pizza, and everybody was like, "Yeah, let's go," but I said there was one caveat. I'm not buying anybody's pizza unless Tammy comes, which at the point, in the moment, I thought was brilliant because it was like really putting pressure on her.
I didn't know what to think about that comment, but I know one thing. I just didn't want to go anywhere. I was a tired college student. I wasn't, I guess, hungry, but I kept getting pressured into going. So my friend's like, "Let's go get ready, Tammy." So I went up to our room, and I think I grabbed a sweatshirt or sweater or something. And then this guy, we get out to his car, and this girl gets in the front seat, and I'm thinking to myself, "Oh, that's kind of jerky of him. He said that right in front of his girlfriend? Why would he do that?"
Well, and clearly there was a girl in the group that just jumped in the front seat, and I was thinking, man, what are you doing? Like, this is ruining my rep here. Like, I'm trying to get to know Tammy, and you're stepping into the space I wanted her in. So anyways, when we got to the pizza place, I made sure that I sat by Tammy, and everybody went to the jukebox. I don't know.
Remember jukeboxes? You could put in a quarter or two and play music. That was fun.
It was, yeah. In fact, I think maybe I gave him some change to go pick something out.
I think you did. I remember that.
So I could talk to Tammy. And then from that point on, I mean, the Wendell Brown charm just took hold. And, she basically asked me to marry her right then in pizza.
Oh, my
it was
goodness.
weird.
Okay,
Honestly,
so
it was a little weird.
Everybody that's doing the eye rolls, you have my full permission to do those eye rolls because I did not ask this guy to marry me. However, he played basketball. I was a cheerleader, but the new coach got rid of all the cheerleaders. We were a distraction. So anyways, I'm hearing from all of his basketball friends for a couple months, "Hey, Tammy, "Hey Elkins, Brown wants to ask you out." And I followed up with the same response. I would say, "Well, then tell him to ask me out." And I don't know how many months went by. He never did. And somehow I had his phone number. I think he gave it to me one time when we were in the library. He was in there a lot. Me, not so much. However, I am a college graduate. Anyways, one time I called him and we were talking. I knew he had a dog. And I love dogs. He invited me over sometime with some friends to see the dog. I don't know if the friends came or not. That part I don't remember. But anyways, I did ask him on the phone because I thought, okay, this is safe. I don't have to say it to his face. I can say it over the phone. And I said, "So, Wendell, are you going to ask me out or not?"
And sure enough, that was the wide open gate that I finally needed. And so we had our first date and watched Jurassic Park, by the way, just a classic movie. Such a great date movie, too. A lot of scary points and things to like jump and, not look at, which provided an opportunity,
Oh, that's why we watched that movie. I wonder, like, Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Even to, today, that's Tammy's favorite movie.
For all you movie fans that like that movie, sorry to disappoint you, but however, that is not my favorite movie.
Well, the next thing you know, she is pledging her entire life to me, and before too long, the crazy thing literally is we were married. We met kind of in the fall. Things started to get a little serious around December, January, and then before you knew it, we were married in July the next year, and then you move from this dating, this wooing, this flirtation stage into all of a sudden now it's maintaining. It's a different world, and then shortly after we were married, we God gave us the great gift of a wonderful daughter, and we had our first child, and so life sets in. Now, the interesting thing is, I don't know, and Tammy, you could maybe corroborate this or say I'm way off base. I don't know that we entered marriage with like some great plan. We were making it up as we went along. And
we were so young, and I think very much in love. It wasn't that we were making it up as we were going along. We were just taking one day at a time for our new adventure together, I think.
Yeah. I look back on those days and man, we're in college. Before too long we have two more daughters, and I'm in graduate school and working a lot, trying to handle school, handle responsibilities with our kids and family. And there was a season in our life where we made $13,000 a year, like full disclosure, and had like a $50 a week grocery budget.
Kudos to Aldi. Still shop there. Love you, Aldi.
Yeah.
Shout out to Aldi.
I remember lots of times like counting change out because I also waited tables and to earn a few extra bucks, and I remember we had a car that had no reverse. How about that? Like I couldn't get it fixed.
So I should say we had one car while he was working. I was at home with 3 beautiful daughters, and I should mention this. They were 3 years old, 1 year old, and a newborn. And to make life a little crazier, I agreed to help our neighbor watch her 3-year-old at the time. So anytime those 4 girls could take a nap together, that was blissful for me. But it was just so fun, and looking back on that, I just wouldn't change anything about those early years at all.
Yeah. Our oldest daughter gave us like a gift. So like everybody that's struggling right now financially or just struggling with toddlers and kids and how do you make all the ends meet? How do you put it all together? Our oldest daughter, who is 27 now, told us the other day, she said, I never knew we were poor. She said, I never knew that we didn't have much. Which really, looking back, I mean, I'm amazed. I really feel like God helped us there.
I think so
and,
too.
anyways, that's a sidebar. So one of the nights, we got 3 daughters, all young, as Tammy mentioned. One of the nights stands out to me, and I don't know if it stands out to you.
It does stand out to me. We actually, our kids got us for Christmas, our 3 daughters and our son got us for Christmas one year. What was the name of that book that we did? We wrote stories each week for a year and then put it back in a book, Storyworth. And it was the most rememberable date. And we both, without knowing it, put this date down that Wendell's about to tell you about.
Yeah, we're kind of struggling, as I mentioned, financially. We went to a store. We had a few bucks, and often back in those days, we would walk through like a store and like dream. Wouldn't it be great if we could buy this? Wouldn't it be great?
Or we would fill our carts with stuff that we wish we could have. We got one cart before, put camping gear in it and a couple games. And then at the end, Wendell looked at me and said, we got to put this back, right? And we sure did. We put it back, but it was fun.
It was. We just kind of dreamed together what we'd love to be able to buy. And it's crazy. Hey, I promise, I'm big about putting stuff back on store shelves. So we didn't just leave the cart. We put everything back because I'm big about that.
We did. If we're in the store together even now, I'm like, we can just put that there. They have workers. If they're looking for something to do, it'll give them a job to do. And he's like, nope, I can't do that. We got to go take it that half-mile hike back in the corner of the store and put it back.
Yeah, it's crazy. I feel like it's the right thing to do. So, anyways, we're at the store, and we only had a few bucks. We bought a miniature golf, like a wiffle set, putt miniature golf set, putt set with a little putter and a plastic ball. I think we had 2 putters and 2 balls.
Yep.
We put our young girls to bed, and we grabbed 9 coffee mugs and created in our townhouse with stairs. We created a 9-hole miniature golf course in our house. Because we couldn't afford babysitting. We lived in a town where none of our family lived. Nobody to watch our girls. No money to go out. No. And so we put the girls to bed and had our own date night. And the truth is, it was a great night.
Can I add something there?
I know what she's going to say.
He knows what I'm going to say. I just have to say this. So if you go putt-putting with Wendell, he's a pretty good putt-putter, if that's what it's called. But he let me go for
putt-putter.
Putt-putter. That sounds weird. So you golfers out there probably are correcting me right now, but that's okay. So he let me go first in this. There's a coffee mug down there, and I got a hole-in-one. From the top of the stairs, which had to turn a little corner all the way down, I got a hole-in-one. He's like, I think we need to start over. I'm like, But he ended up winning, but that was my only hole-in-one for the game. But I'm pretty proud of that.
I still am not quite sure it was a hole-in-one. I think that's gotten greater in our memory. I'm totally kidding. It was a hole-in-one.
I've got a great memory.
But something y'all should know is anytime we play a game, we are super competitive.
Are we?
Oh, it's bad. We'll have people over and we'll play like card games and things, and Tammy will say, I have one mission, and that's to beat Wendell.
Yeah. We've coached upward games against each other, and I may or may not have told the kids if they won, they would get certain things. So I may have bribed your kids at one year or another just so we could beat him.
There you go.
It was worth it.
So, best date, that was a great night that we had together. And it's not just that. It's been a culmination of great nights and great times together. And, in 22, we celebrated our 20, excuse me. Yeah, I'm getting a little old. In 20, we celebrated.
You know what? I'm going to stop him right there, ladies and gentlemen. My husband will say sometimes he's getting old. And ladies, you need to say this if your husbands ever say it. I always say, I am not married to an old man. So,
very true.
Mr. Brown, I am not married to an old man. Please continue.
I'm not old. I guess my hard drive in my head needs a little defragging. It needs.
See, I don't understand that stuff. Just go.
That's nerd speak. So, yeah, in 2020 we celebrated our 25th anniversary, and we're gonna hit 28 this year. And I thought, as we look at, again, it's not like we're experts, but if I'm thinking about things that we've learned along the way, I think number one for me would be that I think for the most part, we've developed short-term memories when it comes to each other's faults. There's often, I don't know, some transformation happens at some point when you get married to, all of a sudden what was once great, all of a sudden like people like in counseling, what was once great, all of a sudden I'm hearing, well, their breath stinks, or they don't keep their side of the sink clean, or their habits are really nasty, and the side of the sink clean's probably me, by the way. But
I'm not the bad breath. I see the dentist regularly.
Yeah, she's not the bad breath. But all of a sudden faults start to become exaggerated, and you notice them more. And I think one of the things, and I don't know, this is for me, Tammy. One of the things that I think has helped us is the fact that I don't think that we key in on each other's faults. I think we key in on what is best in each other.
Something else I would add, I heard someone once say, I don't know, the day that I heard it, I didn't really like it, but it's true. It's always give someone a bad day. So notice I said a bad day. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that advice came from my husband. So, sometimes if your spouse is having a bad day, it's okay to have a bad day, depending on how bad that is in your situation. But it's okay for them to have a bad day. And then something else, you should always remember the reason why you got married, the reason that drew you to your spouse, and always give them grace. I mean, sometimes I get my feelings hurt a little bit more than Wendell, because he's a guy, I'm a girl. Let's just face it. Sometimes my feelings get hurt, but he may have said something or done something that I took completely wrong. So another thing, don't just get mad at the drop of the hat. Maybe ask your spouse, hey, what do you mean by that? Sometimes I'm good at that. Sometimes I'm not so good at that. But I think giving your spouse grace and always giving someone a bad day, and honestly the benefit of the doubt as well.
Yeah, and I think too for us is a focus really on the love that we have forever. Like Scripture says that love covers a multitude of sins. Love covers a multitude of imperfections in each other, because let's face it, no one on earth is perfect. I mean, even as we're kind of striving to kind of share some thoughts on what we've learned, it's not like we're perfect in this either. But I am absolutely confident that Tammy and I love each other, and that we're going to make the cut, that we're gonna last. Like, I'm confident in that.
I'm confident in that also. And if you're not confident in that, maybe, like I said, what was the reason why you guys got married? Why did you start dating? So that's a good place to be, knowing that you're confident that you're going to make it a lifetime journey together.
If you're struggling too on a way to pull out, like maybe you've got these moments in your mind where you're like, man, all you're seeing is faults in each other. I would say this to give you some encouragement: try reminiscing together. If you're looking and seeing only faults in your spouse, in the middle of a conversation, call to memory and call to their memory a moment that was great for both of you, and start a trip down memory lane. You'll be surprised how that changes kind of your attitude, and how it draws you together as you remember great moments together.
And if you're not able to be together, say your husband's at work, you're at home, or even you're at work or something, and you have a break. A lot of times I'll get, how you get pictures sent to your phone of memories, or you can look through your photos. A lot of times I'll send Wendell a picture of us in a previous year or years ago or just recently, and he'll do the same sometimes, and it just makes you smile because you think of happy memories, and that's just a good place to be, with happy memories and happy days.
Yeah. Something else. Tammy and I really like music. I mean, music is pretty much always playing in our house or in our vehicle, and there's this song that I heard just the other day, and really like the title. The song said, "These are the good old days. Don't let them slip away." It's interesting, isn't it? Because sometimes we get caught up on today's not as good as I think it is. And then you get 2 weeks, a year later, and you look back and go, wow,
Yeah.
that was a whole lot better.
Yeah, and count your blessings too. Don't let those slip through your memory. Count your blessings with your spouse before you had kids, with your spouse, with the kids, and like Wendell said, the good old days. Don't let them go to waste.
Yeah, it's actually better than you think it is. In retrospect, whatever your problem or struggle is, when you look back on it, you'll look back on it with more fondness than you will regret. I promise you that.
And a smile.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if we're thinking about communication, lots of marriages struggle with communication. So we've been at this 28 years. And I think we've learned a little bit about how each other communicate. I wouldn't say we're perfect at it, but we've learned. One thing that I really appreciate is often in what I do, I might come back from a stressful meeting, or a conversation where I've had to handle some sort of problem or struggle in somebody's life, and before too long, that's kind of draining on you as a person. And early on, if I'd come back from a meeting or something, Tammy would ask me, so how's it going? How did it go? And would maybe want lots of information. I'm talking to our communication style, and I don't mean divulging confidence, just how did things go? She, over the course of our lives, we've gotten to the point where it's now, I think when I come home from those meetings, it's, hey, we can talk about it tomorrow, which helps me a lot, because when I get home, I don't want to think about problems. I want to be present with her. The good times together, that's what I want to have when I've spent the day handling stressful situations. So like a communication thing for me that has helped was for her to wait till the next day to ask me those questions. It just helps me immensely. And that's something that we've just kind of learned through time.
Yeah, it was a little hard for me to learn, in all honesty, because, again, you heard how young our daughters were, and our third daughter was 4 when our son was born, but I'm home all day with just the kids without any adult interaction. So, yeah, I want to hear about his day. But if it is a stressful day now, I do tend to wait to ask him. If it's something he's excited about, I'll get a text from him, a phone call, and I'll ask about that for sure when he gets home. So, and it's not to say that all the stressful things wait until the next day. There's a lot of times he does tell me that same day, this is going on, and he needs me to listen to him. So wives, a lot of times your husband just needs you to listen. That's a good thing to be, a great listener. And another thing, if you think about it, when you're making a phone call, you remember everything. We just do. And men, some of you do, but mostly women do remember a lot of the conversation. And men can be on the phone the same time, and then when you ask them, hey, what did they say when you said, oh yeah, that'd be great? They're most likely not going to remember. Just we've been together almost 28 years. This July will be 28 years, and that does happen a lot, but guys just take care of the problem and get over it, or take care of stuff, and I think we just want to make sure everything's going well.
Yeah. I remember talking about communication. I remember Tammy gave me a great gift once. She was telling me about something that was going on in her life, and I was like, oh, because I like problem solving. So I was like, oh, that's easy. Just do this, this, and this. That'll solve it. End of story. And I remember she got up from where she was seated. She came over and she looked at me in the eyes and grabbed my cheeks. And she said, I don't need you to solve my problem. I just need you to listen to me.
That is true. True story. That really happened. Or I'll tell him something that may have hurt me, and he's like, oh, I'm going to say something to him. And I'll say, no, I didn't tell you so you would go defend me. I just need to tell you so I can be done with it and move on. So, ladies, that's a treasure, though, having a husband to stick up for you like that. But, I don't need him to defend my battles or solve all my problems. Just listening ear also.
Just a quick thought as we wrap up, like communication styles. Just a quick thought. Just recognize that each of you do communicate differently. Just remember that.
Yep.
And learn from not only what is said, but the nonverbal cues that each other give as well, from facial expressions to size to looks and engagement. You can pick up a lot if you're attentive in each other.
Yeah, I probably need to be a little transparent here. Sometimes I don't have what some people refer to as a poker face. So sometimes if you're talking to me,
that's facts.
But a lot of times I'll just tell myself, okay, Tammy, don't drop your mouth open and don't make your eyes wide. And a lot of times our husbands just need to know that we care, that we're there. A hug would go a long way.
Yeah. And I would say this too in communication, that it's not just what you say, it's your touch and your feel too. That sometimes it's very nice to just reach your hand over and grab their hand while you're driving down the road.
That's very nice.
That speaks maybe a lot more than any words you might say too.
Yep, it's more than words.
Yeah. There was an Extreme song about that, wasn't there?
That was too extreme to remember.
More than words. Oh, sorry. Anyways, hey,
it's early in the morning. His voice hasn't acclimated.
La 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 la. Let me work on some vocal exercises. Anyways, so as we look at the future, and as you look at the future, I want to just give you some encouragement. Whatever has happened in your marriage, the good or the bad, if you'll look to Jesus, if you'll give your marriage to Jesus, if you'll do your best to focus your marriage on Him, I promise you there is nothing that has happened in your marriage that He cannot work on and fix for you.
Something else I heard someone say before, just two things real quick. If you guys should happen to be fighting, even when you go out in public, don't let anyone know that you are. Even if it's just holding hands, you can do that. And another thing, someone said before that I read not too long ago, you should treat your spouse today like you're not going to see them tomorrow. Would you be happy with what you said today if they weren't around tomorrow? That's something when I read that, I'm like, wow, that's very impactful if you think of it that way.
That's good. That's good. 1 Peter 4:8 says, above all, keep loving one another earnestly. I think the interesting word there is earnestly. It's intently. It's with passion and with fervor. And then the last part of 1 Peter 4:8, it says, since love covers a multitude of sins. I think if you want to see your marriage last a lifetime, I think you've got to focus on loving each other earnestly. And love is sacrificial. Love isn't just seeing things one way, your way. Love is striving to look through the lens of the other.
Love is doing the best for your spouse, keeping their best interest in mind, not hurting them, not intentionally hurting them, and remember, I'm going to go back. I keep saying this. Remember what brought you together to start dating, to get married in the first place. So treat your spouse like they're the most important thing in the world to you.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for spending some time with us today.
Yes, thank you so much, everybody.
And we do hope and pray that your marriage will last a lifetime in this post-Valentine's Day edition of the Tragedy and the Triumph podcast. I'm just going to pray a prayer of blessing over you and your marriage. God, would you just provide? Would you give wisdom for every person that's listening? Would you remind them, Father, not only of your love for them, but your love for their marriage? And may they rekindle, may they focus, and may they, Father, live in such a way that their marriage lasts a lifetime. I pray that you'll draw couples together, and I pray, Father, that your will be accomplished in their life, and that they would recognize, every person listening would recognize that these really are some good days. Thank you, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
God bless you all.